Hey, Jonathan. How you doing?
Good, good, Cole. How are you?
I'm good, man. We're back on the
We are indeed.
podcast. Episode number 15,
Totally.
because we're really far.
I see why you passed math class, for sure.
Yeah. We have a guest. What?
It appears we
Hey,
do.
what's your name?
Derek.
Nice. And how do we know you?
I'm sorry. And Delta.
Oh, yeah. I guess Delta too, but
Where are we now?
My house.
How do we get here?
You drove on a boat.
why, like, why are we here?
Lisa invited you.
Oh,
So true.
yeah,
did
any
we-
more, like, what else have we been doing this weekend?
Yesterday we drove
Hmm.
To where?
the beach and the river.
What exactly did we do there?
Flew a kite.
How do you feel about having us here at your house?
Extremely excited.
Extremely excited. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. You don't really seem to be like that happy to be here. Like, how you feeling about the podcast and being here? And
Nervous.
yeah,
Yeah.
first time on television or what?
Is it television?
Well, one day we will.
Someday we'll get big and famous.
Yeah.
We can always
Joe Rogan
aspire.
started small, man.
So my royalties will come soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought snacks.
I did.
White truffle and sea salt.
Yeah.
What do you think of these?
I like that one.
Do you actually?
Yeah. You?
I don't know.
Okay, now try his.
Okay. Here, let's switch.
Let's switch. So I got the samosa chips.
The samosa.
Those are called hard bite, but those are a much harder bite.
These have like no flavor.
That's what I mean. These at least have something going on with them.
Are we supposed to get something with these or?
They are vegan.
Well,
Maybe you're supposed to put them in a dip.
that's
Maybe.
good, but I don't like these. Don't
They are bland, but
they're
like
just spicy.
They're spicy?
slightly spicy, I'd say. Yeah.
Like, here,
Small
try this
small
one.
kick.
Yeah.
That one has a bunch of spice on it. I feel like
Yeah, it kicks in after.
the ratio of like spice to chip is not like some of them are just empty, some of them aren't. Like a good one. This one's just loaded up.
Yeah. It is.
Huh.
I like these ones though.
Those ones are probably better.
Oh, these aren't hard bite.
They're kettle cooked, yeah.
These ones got more going on, I feel. It's
Yeah,
just
the
like,
samosa ones aren't actually that exciting.
hold on.
The
I'm gonna have
white
another
truffle
one just
ones,
to.
like, what is white truffle? Is that like? I wish I knew what white truffle was. Does Derek know what white truffle is?
I think truffles are something that are hard to find, and they're underground.
There's usually
From what I
cheddar involved
understand.
in those flavors,
Could
I
be
think.
wrong.
Huh.
Is there actually truffle in it though? Look at the ingredients though.
You think we're getting scammed?
It does not credit truffle in these ingredients at all.
What the heck is a champignon mushroom powder?
Oh, it's from that mushroom, that type of mushroom.
Derek, do you like snacks?
I love snacks.
What's your favorite snack?
Oh boy. I really like sweet chili heat Doritos, dill pickle chips,
Good choice.
and I love vanilla ice cream with granola and berries on top.
Wow.
Yeah.
We need to up our game, I think.
Man's got
We
taste.
got bags of chips here, but this guy's actually like putting effort in to make his snacks good.
What do you guys like?
I don't know. My go-to I really like I don't know, I'm a simple guy. I like potato chips. I love potato chips.
Like plain flavor?
Just plain potato chips.
Yeah, those are good with a good dip.
With a good dip, you're having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Like French onion. French onion dip's so good.
Yeah.
But I don't know about what about you, Jonathan?
I don't know. For me, I feel like it's dependent on if I'm in like a sweet or a salty mood. Like if
Yeah.
it's with like say chips, my go-to is usually Ruffles salt and vinegar. Those just absolutely hit diff. With sweet, usually like chocolate chip or Oreos. Chocolate chip
Oreos are
cookies
really, yeah.
or Oreos as well.
Oreos are pretty good. I also love gummy bears.
Yeah. Have you guys tried the Doritos where they have two half flavors together?
That's a
Oh,
thing?
half and like the
It's
half
a
and
thing,
half.
yeah.
Oh.
I thought about it later, but they have like they partner up with a different chip company, and they do two flavors together.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Maybe your next podcast.
That,
do that.
yeah, maybe we'll get those.
We'll talk about it after. I'll show you what they are.
Where'd
Yeah.
you find those?
Save On Food sells them.
Really?
We'll have to-
I've never seen those in
we're
stock.
definitely gonna have to try and find those because
Yep.
sounds really good.
There's one close to my house. I could literally just like go tomorrow or whatever.
There's
Yeah.
one 5 minutes away. Maybe while you guys finish the podcast, I'll zip over there and get some.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Little end of podcast. Yeah.
Mm.
That'd be sweet.
So yeah.
Okay. Derek, what do you like most about the island?
Oh, the pace of life is so much slower. The cost of living is so much lower. It's just way more relaxed here. I feel like you're not in the rat race.
Yeah.
You are in the Lower Mainland.
Yeah, it's pretty rush on there on the big island, hey?
On the big island. Vancouver Island, yep. I mean, look around. Like, we're sitting here in the backyard. You can see the ocean from here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally the camera can't see, but
Yep.
we
When you-
are looking at yeah.
When you
It is-
first, sorry, when you first moved here, Derek, how was it to like sort of shift your, your mind to a completely different just area of Vancouver?
Well, we moved in the winter time, so everyone was kind of indoors at that time, so we didn't get to know our neighbors that much. We kind of felt a little bit isolated, but then we found a couple communities we got attached to, like through school and through church and through just working here,
Right.
and we're slowly feeling more and more like we're connected with community, and that's a big part of feeling like you belong where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's huge. Yeah, that belonging piece I think is
Yeah, like when you surround yourself in a community, you have a group of people that you see often that you feel connected with, and you're not just like completely in your like on your own, because I like that would get pretty boring or lonely after a while.
Yeah, and the other thing is we've been blessed with having so many great friends on the mainland that it's like every other weekend we had people come to visit us, like you guys come to visit.
Yeah.
We love having visitors come. That's why we look for a house with an
Right.
intentional guest room. so
How
people
often do
can
you
stay
get
with us.
visitors?
Like I said, almost every other weekend someone's coming.
Wow.
So
That's
we have
pretty
the next
pretty
month,
sick,
I think we have like 2 or 3 more people coming, or people groups coming. So
yeah, you also seem to have a big heart for that.
yeah, it's great. We love it. So
Yeah.
we joked about how we haven't really made any friends here because you keep importing our old friends to come hang out here
yeah,
with us.
yeah. Keep it important, yeah.
Yep.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get him on a boat, bring him over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's beautiful place, and like I mean, I don't know, it's hard not to like so much easier to see like God in this place as well. Like you literally just walk out onto your deck and you can look at a bunch of freaking mountains and like
Yeah.
it's just so cool.
Yeah, like the ocean on one side, mountains behind it. The other end is mountains, and then every night we see like an incredible sunset from our front window. So.
Yeah. And then the stars too, I guess. I haven't seen stars yet, but
Oh yeah, we didn't look last night.
didn't get to look last night. It was also cloudy last night, but
Yeah.
I'd imagine. Yeah.
No complaints about this place. We like it.
Yeah. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Yeah, that's actually incredible.
I mean, you guys know this is your second time here, right?
It is our second time here, yeah.
is.
It is our second time here. I love it. I love it.
I'm glad we got to go to, one end of the island to see what that was like. The drive there was really fun as well, because we saw like more of the lake, or just there's just something about the drive yesterday and just sort of looking out, where the mountains are, where the water is. I just feel more I kind of just feel more alive when I'm surrounded by nature, instead of just like being stuck in my bedroom or my basement all day long.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You feel like kind of connected to your surroundings, right?
Yeah, and it's also like, the joys in the journey type of thing. So like even when we got to the beach, like that was fun.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of joy in the van just looking around town, because number one, I had never gone to Defino. I had never been there, but I also just kind of got to like explore the map a little bit because I've only been to Vancouver Island a handful of times. I've been to Victoria once, Nanaimo a few times, but usually it's like I'm here for the day or one day and then I leave.
Yeah.
So
And
I don't
even,
get to
even like on the way there too. We stopped at like those rocks and like the river and stuff. It's
Yes,
beautiful.
that was insane.
Like just those little stops along the way too, where I feel
Yeah.
like more worth it.
I mean, I literally joked about it in the van because like you would have just driven right past it, but I was like, "Oh, Derek, you should pull over." Okay,
And we did, and we went.
thank you for that.
That's enjoying the journey, right?
Yeah,
I know the west coast of the island seems like it's a lot different than the east side of the island. There are some parts in the east coast of the island that are beautiful. Like there's lakes over there.
Huh.
There's this amazing river with it's called Oyster Potholes. I'll show you guys later, but it's this amazing river with like these little pockets of water in them, and it's all naturally formed in the rocks.
Okay, yeah. There's
It's-
Wandafuka has a spot like that too.
yeah, there's lots of lakes near here that we love to go to. Go paddleboarding, go fishing. Yeah,
That's sweet.
it's good. We like it. Right, Lisa?
There you go. I don't know. I hope the mic picked that up. It'd be really funny. Sweet. Well, unless you have anything else for us,
Oh, I came to bring you guys snacks, and this is yeah.
sweet.
So-
Um.
I'll leave you guys to it.
Okay.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
for coming. Thanks for
Podcast.
coming. We will have a great episode. It's a good little intro. Yeah. There we go. Grab a piece of wood. So that was Derek. We've talked about Derek a couple times on the podcast actually.
we have.
So
We've
he's kind of
mentioned
a-
some pretty funny stories about him in
He
the
is
past.
kind of he is kind of like a celebrity to us because I mean, come on, it's Derek. But yeah, so we're at Derek's house. We're on the island. We're in his backyard right now. A little outdoors edition, part 2. I think I'm throwing the shades off.
We got better lighting this time because it's not sunset. You know, I mean, sure we're shaded by the tree, but
Yeah, the lighting's better. The setup's really weird, guys. You can actually see this computer. This is where we're running everything out of. I hope it's not overheating. I just want to really. Oh yeah, no, we're chilling. It's not overheating at all.
we're also like our setup is on a hill.
We are on a hill, so
I'm-
we have a tripod now,
Yeah.
and on the tripod we have our phone, so things are getting a little bit nicer for the setup. Yeah, and we're looking into another camera as well, but we got these drinks.
We do.
Jonathan, what is this? What is this called?
Spin Nakers or Spinnackers?
So I thought it was Spin Makers, but I just looked at it and saw 2 N's.
2 ends.
Spinackers.
All I saw was cream soda, and I instantly just knew.
I think
buy
it's
it.
Spinackers, and it says hashtag let no body thirst. You might be able to see it on the camera. Little shout out. I think this is like an island exclusive brand.
I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised. if
literally
that were
says
the case.
Victoria, BC on the can. So,
Yeah.
if you're watching from the United States, you don't get this. So, literally, suck it. Okay, let's open these bad boys up, and let's
I am not drinking this warm. No, thank you.
throw it on. Soda over ice, please. Soda on the rocks.
Yes.
That's what they say in the movies. Dude, these are actually perfect glasses too, though. All right, let's cheers. And then let's drink.
That is
That's
that is
fire.
cream soda if I've ever had one.
My flavor is black cherry. I can confirm it's very good. So we got the snacks. We got beautiful faces. We got the good setup, and we're just chatting. We're just having a good time.
Yeah.
This is Munch Chatter, episode 6, and we're happy to be here.
The snacks we kind of just went on the fly. We didn't
yeah.
we didn't want to get like ordinary snacks that we're used to, like, you know, the big names you think of, Lay's and Ruffles and Doritos, all this sort of stuff. We were like, nope, we need to go look at what. I mean, I wouldn't say these are
the little guys need a shout out too.
yeah, the I don't want to say off brand, but like the smaller
Yeah.
brands or whatever, we wanted to give them their time to shine.
Little Timmy needs some recognition, you know?
He really does. But I gotta say, like, the samosa chips just don't have a lot of flavor. The only thing I can taste is like a little bit of spice. So like, I guess there's something to look forward to, but just not as much as I would have liked.
Yeah.
Those have more going on.
These
They're
have more
not too
flavor.
sweet. Right?
I don't know
like,
that I would buy these again.
I might. They're not.
If I had no
honestly not
choice,
bad.
maybe if I was gonna die,
You want these again?
I want to try these again. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, it says on the back that the samosa chips were made from a treasured family recipe. So, I don't know. This treasured family recipe is not very. It's not good treasure, that's for sure. I wouldn't follow the X if I knew this was gonna be at the end.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. But because maybe we needed chutney.
You know what?
We might have needed to have dip.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Like
However-
maybe the point. Oh,
We do have dip.
conveniently enough.
So we actually went to an Australian themed restaurant for lunch today. And they have little Vegemite packets. Dude, that smells weird.
Hold on, I haven't even opened it yet.
Dude, what the frick? And I have never had Vegemite. Actually, I've had
Ooh.
Vegemite once. Oh.
That
Wait, hold on. I kind of like it. Okay, that's fine. We're going to try. But
smells
only-
like soy sauce.
I've only had Vegemite once, and it was I had an Australian coworker when we had Starbucks. She ended up leaving for Australia again. Like, she ended up leaving for Australia, like, kind of like halfway through my time at Starbucks.
Yeah.
And she ended up coming in with some Vegemite from Australia. So she came in with some Vegemite and like a little. She bought a everything bagel and spread it on and gave us a little bit. And I actually didn't really mind it, but I want to see if these samosa chips will taste better with this Vegemite. So let's see.
You sauce me one too.
Yeah, here.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right. This is to test to see if the chip is at fault or.
And we're also going to test to see if Vegemite is. I might have put too much on, but
Okay.
it does look really. Oh, that's a lot. It's a big glob, but we're going for it. All right,
It
you ready?
looks like some sort of chocolate sauce, but it doesn't smell like it. That's for sure.
It smells very salty.
We going?
Yep.
Okay. Nope. I don't know what that is, but you do not eat that by
Oh.
itself. Don't eat Vegemite by itself.
Oh my gosh. Oh damn.
First hand experience.
I kind of liked it at first, but now the aftertaste is.
No, that's just not right.
But I kind of like it.
How?
Like. I don't know. Like strangely enough. I don't know. Like if I dip a little, like just a little bit. Let's see.
Maybe I took too much.
Yeah, like just a little bit. I feel like if I only have a little bit. Oh yeah, that's kind of fire. But you have to get the ratio right. I think it's definitely not meant to be done with huge globs.
I mean, that's how I feel like whenever I eat sushi, and like I'll like dip some of like the wasabi on.
Yeah.
If I put just the right amount on, I get the flavor of the wasabi and it's fine. If I put a little too much on, my nose is on fire. And then I feel like I'm about to cry and I feel like I'm just like on the verge of death. Cuz it's just
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so this chip for some reason has a stupid amount of
Tumors.
maybe salt or spice on it.
Yeah. Yeah, so Jonathan, what has been the highlight for you just of being here on the island?
For this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, kind of what I said earlier, just, coming to see Derek is always a blessing. And late night ferry rides hit diff, that's for sure. But yesterday was very special because we got to go to the complete opposite side of the island, like where we were when we got off at Duke Point. That's like the east side of the island.
Yeah.
Tofino's the like west side, so it's like the complete opposite end. And just driving on those back roads, chilling in the car, talking to you guys, listening to music, just sort of like having heart-to-heart discussions, and then just looking out into the water, right? Like, I mean, there's just something beautiful. Like, I feel like I genuinely just enjoy the outdoors more when I'm surrounded by,
Oh yeah. People.
I'm just surrounded by nature. I'm surrounded by people I know.
Yeah, well, definitely the people.
The Long Beach we went to before we came back, like that was a huge
that was
beach.
nice.
And there was like a rock in the middle that I really wanted to go to, but I didn't have any like swimming gear on or whatever. And then you got to fly the kite. That was fun. And it was also like, it was very windy. So it was like kind of chilly, but not too cold. Like I was wearing my hoodie and I was fine.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like good temperature. I literally took like the biggest inhale ever and the air smelled so fresh. I don't know. Just
It was beautiful.
a day well spent, I must say.
It was a good day, and I think like we were talking about before too. We like on the drive, like we didn't really have anything like we didn't have any time commitments, which was really nice because we could just take it slow. We were able to stop along the way and just look at different things in nature, and like you're like driving through.
It was very field based.
You were driving, yeah. You were driving through literally. You were literally driving through valleys and like mountains. Like there's mountains everywhere, and it's just like it's just beautiful, right? It's just beautiful, and like, it was really cool to be able to stop along the way and to be able to like stop at like those rocks. Like those rocks were sick.
You know what was funny though about last week when because Derek came by because he was on the main line last week and
Right.
he came to church, and then I was gonna set up a weekend for us to come out, and we just agreed that the following weekend, which is now,
Very spontaneous, yeah.
would work. And I was like, oh wow, so we can literally come see you in a week. Every single day I went to work, I was trying to speed run the day just so that every day of the week would be complete, so we could just get to here as soon as possible. Because we haven't seen them since like the end of June.
Yeah, I haven't seen them in a while.
Like all summer, I didn't get to see these guys, so I'm very grateful to be back.
Yeah. Well, I used to see them all the time, and it's like now I only see them every once in a while. But it's nice to, it's nice to, it's also kind of nice that they live far because it's like, it also makes the time, like the moments that we do spend with them, like so much more like,
Yeah.
they're so much more special.
Well,
right?
yeah, I
'Cause
mean,
it's like, oh, we don't get to do this all the time. So
the
it's like,
journey
let's
just
make
to
the most
see
of it.
them, and then to be with them.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah. It's the journey there is sick. Being able to do it with you and like to go together, it's fun. It's bonding. We create memories, and it's great. I think another big, I think a highlight for me actually out of everything was good. But the highlight for me was actually when we sat in the hot tub, last night,
Yes.
and we just talked for like 2 hours about. Like we made plans to watch a movie, watched it still, but then like. Like we were more, like we prioritized this biblical conversations. We talked about different things about the Bible. We talked about questions. We talked about God. We talked about different things that were on our hearts. That's just cool. Right? That's just really, really cool. And like really, like those are just moments where it's like, I don't know.
Something I appreciated about the hot tub was because a lot of my, a lot of my questions for like Jesus and the Bible and all that sort of stuff, like a lot of those questions I asked to you. And then this time we had a third person
Yeah.
who is very well versed in the Bible because he was a youth pastor for, many, many years. And so it was good to ask questions that wasn't just directed to one person, because if you didn't have an answer,
You need more parties.
he
yeah.
did. And I think last night was a real
It was a gift.
eye opener to a
was a
lot
gift.
of mysteries I had. But then today's service,
Yeah,
the
the sermon.
pastor literally answered my question from last night. I mean, Derek did too, but he just kind of went into more detail.
Yeah. Yeah, no, actually though. And like I think I don't know, I even just think to like when you read the gospels you see that Jesus would just with his disciples he would have conversations like that. He would his disciples would have questions and he would talk to them and he would ask them questions. Like he would ask them more questions and he would give them like advice and like I feel like what we did last night really modeled just how Jesus and his disciples would do things. And there's I'm sure even his disciples would meet up at and talk and have conversations like that because they were curious. It's just cool, right? It's cool to have those moments because it's really important to have those moments too.
It is, because when you believe your faith is so strong, but there are comments or questions that are thrown at you that kind of like completely just what's the expression I'm looking for? Like they kind of sweep you off your feet and you don't really know how to answer them. Like especially with me, like I'll be like, my faith in Jesus has never been stronger. I'm a good Christian boy. Oh, suddenly someone else says something that makes me doubt the Gospels, maybe the credibility of the Bible in and of itself. And I stand there kind of shell-shocked. And I'm like, okay, instead of worrying about it, I'm just going to go do research.
Hmm.
I'm going to consider this person's question.
Yeah, instead of
then
getting defensive.
and then if I have doubt, let me go talk to someone who's knowledgeable. I mean, doesn't it say that I think it was one of Paul's letters where it's like, surround yourself with, believers to strengthen your faith, and like surround yourself with people that are well versed in the word of God, so that you too shall become knowledgeable.
So that, yeah, when you have those questions, or when you have friends that ask you those questions, you can then come to these other people that you have, that will have an answer that is going to be, well versed and thought through. And I think even beyond that too, like, I was telling Derek earlier, and I think you were here at lunch when I said this, but like, there was a moment in the Bible where Jesus was going to go heal someone who was sick in a bed. And what he did is he had a group with him. He had like the parents with him. It was like a little kid or like a daughter or something that was sick and ill on the bed, and I think was on the road to die. Jesus walks in the room, and he starts like getting ready to heal, and essentially with him was the disciples, a couple disciples were with him, not all of them, but some of them, and then a couple Pharisees.
Yep.
And then they also had the parents. And what Jesus actually did was, before he even started praying, he said,
the parents of the kids? I
no,
imagine.
Jesus. So
What?
before Jesus started praying,
Right.
so he's in a room, there's a bed, like it's like the daughter's bedroom basically.
Oh, okay.
She's on the bed ill. In the room with him is the parents and a couple disciples, and then I
Okay.
think there was a
Sounds like
Pharisee or
part of
two
this.
in there too. A couple religious leaders.
Yeah.
Jesus actually says, before he starts praying, he says this, he starts to dismiss people from the room.
Mm-hmm.
But then 2 disciples stayed behind with him. He dismissed the parents, the religious leaders, and then a couple of the other disciples. The disciples that stayed behind, it actually says, I think, it says something about this, and there is something that backs it up, but the disciples who stayed behind had faith that what Jesus was about to do was heal this man, that he was going to do it, and that he could do it. Sorry, not that he would, but that he could.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But the people who he dismissed, they didn't believe Jesus could do it. That's why he dismissed them. Because he knew that their faith was, like, he needed people with him that were going to believe with him, and that people that would surround him, that would be truthful and that would hold tight to the truth that Jesus has been trying to tell them the whole time.
But wouldn't it be a good idea to keep those other people behind?
And he
where
did
they're-
do that in other stories, yes.
To show them that
To
he
show
was capable of
But I think in
miracles.
this story, he was trying to get a point across to say that you guys need to make sure you surround yourself with people like that too.
Oh, okay.
That when you're going to be doing things, you need to surround yourself with people that have faith and that believe in my name, that I could heal this person. Right? Not that I will, but that I can. Right? Because even coming back to that Genesis story, it's not about necessarily, it's not about believing whether or not the world was created in 7 days or not. No, it's about believing in the idea that he could do that.
Yeah.
And because he can.
Not about what did happen, but what
about
could have
happened.
What could have happened, yeah.
Or what might have happened, right? We don't know. But we have to be open to the fact that God is bigger than any of our thoughts and anything that seems impossible, and that he could do that.
Well, his God's being, like just who he is so vastly complex, and what is written for us to consume and to understand is merely a fraction
Oh yeah,
of what he's
fully capable of doing.
fully
Yeah,
capable of doing,
100%.
because our brains would melt
Melt.
if we
Yeah.
knew the truth, if we knew all of it. Like, I mean, I this might be like a little, whatever, but like I think our brain only has so much storage. Like, we would literally get a
100%.
notification saying like you need
We have
like a
limitations.
DLC
yeah.
for extra space
Yeah,
to have more God
Yeah,
knowledge,
we-
because we
we-
couldn't fit it all in.
We are created like God, but we have limitations. We are not God.
Right.
Right? We are created in the image of God. We have qualities and skills that represent him
And to
and his
think that-
character.
Sorry, finish.
I was just saying we have skills and gifts that represent his character, but we have limitations. We are not God. We are not going to be able to fully understand everything or do everything that he could do.
And it's crazy that our God also took on those limitations.
Mm-hmm.
When the Word took
Some
on
of them,
flesh,
yeah.
he took on some limitations. Of course, he had, like, he was still God in human form, but he left some of his divine nature in heaven because he didn't come to earth to boast about his power. He came as a servant.
He also limited himself to the cross.
Yes, he humbled himself and he took our punishment. Like, that's, I don't know. That's an insane thing to think
and
about.
you're right, actually. Like, he did limit himself, and like, yeah, and it's just crazy because I think God knew that we were not going to understand. He's not going to understand us best unless he limits himself, and we're not going to understand unless we see him limited. Yeah, I think. I don't know. Have you? Sorry, there was a question there, but you're, like we were talking about in the last episode. There was something you wanted to say in the last episode.
Well, like right at the end.
Yeah, and it was like we ran out of battery storage because we couldn't do it. But what
Okay,
was?
so I remember pretty much what happened. So around the end of the portion, because I went back and I watched the last portion of that episode, and you were talking about your dream to help with people that like have prosthetic legs,
Prosthetic, yeah.
to like help supply that. And your dream made so much sense because you have a prosthetic leg, you want to help people that have the same issues, and a lot of it, like, your heart is very Jesus centered, and you
Sure.
want to use that as an opportunity to, preach the word, preach the gospel to them. But my problem was my passion and my dream for my career. I don't know how well I could pull off using it to spread the gospel. And for those of you who either don't remember or just don't know flat out, I'm very passionate about cars. I love to drive them, and my dream is to work on cars and help people like fix cars, work at an auto shop, maybe even open my own someday.
Yeah.
If it ever gets to that. And then of course build my own projects, just however I want. Like, I'd like to have like a big enough house, big enough driveway to do all this sort of stuff. The problem I have is I feel like in the trades, it's much harder to spread the gospel. And I don't know how true this is. This is just kind of what I see at face value, because a lot of like the trades mentality is loud environment, trucker mouth, 8 hours a day, you go home, and then same process. I don't feel like it's very, there's no time where you can really sit down and have like heart-to-hearts with your coworkers, because like the only time you do that is at your lunch break or whatever, and then you're just back in the shop, back on the job, you got to get work done. And whereas
Sure.
like your sort of job would, and especially with life teams, like your youth work, the whole purpose is to bring youth to the faith.
Yes.
So my
Okay.
only issue with my line of work is that I just don't know if I'd have that same opportunity, and I'm trying to find a way to make my life, like I want my life to be like where I do things I enjoy, but the most important mission is to teach others.
Okay. I have so many questions for you.
Oh boy, this
So
This
many.
may or may not go well.
My first question is, and you need to answer this honestly,
Uh-oh.
do you think God can use you?
Yes,
Do you fully believe in your heart?
yes, he can use anybody.
No, I'm not asking about anybody. I'm asking about you.
Okay, so
No. Like, do you
Yeah.
believe in your heart that Jesus would partner with you and that you could partner with him to do ministry? Because ministry isn't just like youth work. It's cars.
how so?
Well, just answer the question. Do you think he would partner with you to do that?
I think if I was truly open, like, I mean, I believe that I need to, like, I
You
believe
believe
that,
you need to, but
yes, okay, sorry. If you're asking me if I want to spread the gospel and to tell us about Jesus? The answer is yes.
That's part of it. Yes, you want it, but do you fully believe that Jesus has called you to do that?
I think more of this year, or at least he's.
So you.
How do I say this in an effective manner? The more this year has played out,
yeah,
the more I have truly opened my heart to him, and I have also, I think it's possible. I think.
And so yes, and so the reason why I asked that is because for the longest time, I had this desire. I knew what I needed to do, but I never actually believed in my heart that I could be used. I didn't think I was worthy enough to be able to partner with Jesus. Right? And that's what I'm saying is I don't know where you're at with that, but it's that asking of, it's that first step is saying, God, like, here I am. I know I'm not worthy, but I know you also, it's not that you need me, it's that you want me. Right? You want me to partner with you in this ministry. And Jonathan, that's what this whole thing is. Right? When he called his disciples, he called the people who are the lowest of low fishermen. And he literally, like, you know what I mean? And
a tax collector even.
Yeah. Now my second question for you.
I don't even know if I answered the first question right.
No, there's no right answer to any of these questions.
Fair enough.
My second question for you is this. It's well, it's more of a statement. It's what do you think? How do you think that like for this drop-in, for instance, that I'm starting? Kids are going to be spending time studying, playing board games, playing things outside in the parking lot, even games night. Think about games night, and technically there isn't really a format. Like youth group is the format where we talk about that kind of stuff. But at games night and drop-in centers, we don't do that. We just build relationships. We just get to know people. And through that building relationship and getting to know people, what starts to happen is, because we've been following Jesus so closely and because we feel that calling and we have stepped into that calling and we have, spent time, like, John Mark Comer, being with Jesus, becoming like Jesus and doing as he did, it just naturally comes out of us that we'll start talking to people about Jesus. We'll start acting like Jesus around people. People will get curious and the Spirit will move through you in other people. Right. And so what I'm trying to say to you is, like, I know there's a youth program that Youth Unlimited runs called Young Guns Garage.
Young Guns Garage.
It's called Young Guns. And what they do is it's a mechanic program. They get old cars and they go and restore them. But they don't have like a sermon, they don't have worship. Like they just build relationships and they just fix cars together. Right?
And this is with
is Youth Unlimited.
Teenagers.
This is with youth.
Okay, yeah. So
like there's opportunities like that, but even further than that, like I know people who've started construction companies. I've know people who've started construction companies where, they have small moments at lunch. They have small little moments in between like breaks and things, but they use those moments to just build a relationship, to even have moments of like sharing about the gospel, like sharing the good news of Christ a little bit too, and just like they use those small opportunities to do that. Because as it turns out as well, if everybody just says, oh, it's too hard for me to reach mechanics, I'm not going to do it, all of a sudden we have no one.
I'm not saying I can't do it. To me, it feels like there's a greater line of difficulty to do it.
I would say you're right. There is difficulty, but it's also very difficult for me to be able to.
It is worth trying. I think it's worth trying.
And so I'm saying that I from where I'm sitting, you're very passionate about it. It's just you don't know how it's going to happen. You're focusing on the impossibles on the things that seem like, oh, I don't know how this is going to work. But I don't think that's the invitation that Jesus is offering you. He's offering you an invitation just to sit with him, be with him, and to let him guide you into your next step. Which I think for you, that next step would probably be going to school. Like you've already been taking that next step, right?
Well, that's assuming BCIT lets me in. Hopefully.
Well, yeah, but you've taken a step.
I have. That's true.
Right. And that's all he's asking is to take another step, another step, another step.
But sometimes I feel like the steps I take, I need to take them faster. And that could
Well-
just be like, I could just be messing with my own head
Sure.
doing that.
You could be.
Like it's one of those things where I put a lot of that pressure on myself because I feel like I've been too lazy the last few years. And so I'm like, everything that I've been wanting to do over the last like 3 years, it has to happen all at once.
Yeah.
So that I can feel fulfilled of all that time lost. But I think,
Okay, sorry. I'm going to speak again.
no, go ahead.
I heard something recently that talked about the enemy and how the enemy's goal
It's to rush you.
is to rush us, but and that's a whole other topic. But another goal of the enemy is when we're not the enemy's goal is to make us dwell on the past
Mhm.
or to make us worry about the future or think about the future too much. God, Jesus, he invites us to just be present. He doesn't want us to worry about what's going to happen in the future. He doesn't want us to dwell on what we haven't or have done.
Mhm.
He wants us to just come.
But it is good to be intellectually aware.
You
of
do
it,
need to be aware, and you do need to plan, of course, and take steps. But
just don't have so much anxiety.
But don't have so much anxiety. But even like as you walk in step with Jesus, he's going to guide you and direct you to do those things because he's a loving and good Father. Right? That's the thing, right? Like we can't, like as soon as we start trying to do those things on our own, it's not going to work.
Mhm.
And so you're right. Yeah, maybe we're lazy. I was lazy last year. There's a lot of things I wanted to do that I couldn't get done, right? And you're right. Like I actually spent a week before my trip to Rwanda dwelling on it. But then I went to Rwanda and I realized the Lord has called me into some amazing, amazing things. I'm just going to waste time if I keep dwelling on what I haven't done.
It's crazy how 1 week you feel one way and the next your eyes are wide open. But they're not. Okay, so there's this whole analogy of when you're driving a car.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the front windshield is this big and the rear view mirror is this big. Because you're only supposed to look at what's behind you for like a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
And then your eyes are focused on what's ahead of you because that's where you're traveling. So you're supposed to look at the past for a brief moment to see what you did wrong, and then you're looking at the future because that's what's coming right at you. That's what's coming ahead.
And like when you're driving, you get to focus on the view around you, but you're not necessarily looking at the, you're looking at the road that's right in front of your car, not the road that's like 200 feet down the road, right? You're looking at the pavement that's in front of you, and
And you're also looking at the other obstacles.
shoot.
Like you're looking at other cars coming, pedestrians,
And you might have to slow down.
I say this because when you're going, like let's say you're driving too fast in life, sometimes you got to slow down because, maybe
you're not
something very devastating happened in your life, or maybe
And
maybe
even further than that, you
about
just need to slow down because you're going too fast. Like sometimes God invites us to just slow down and to look at the things along the way, to enjoy the things that are happening along the way too, right?
kind of like yesterday.
Like exactly like yesterday.
That's why we stopped and we walked around
Exactly
just to
like
take in
yesterday.
the scenery. Because if Derek would have just gone by, we wouldn't have gotten the cool photos of the rocks that we did.
And we even had a moment there too where we were just like thanking God for what he created, and like we wouldn't have been able to do that if we
we
hadn't
wouldn't have been able
stopped.
to appreciate his creation if we hadn't pulled over.
Yeah.
That's just one circumstance out of a million, but
So
it
cool,
drives
dude.
the point home to, sometimes it's good to be quick and efficient, but when you slow down, you can also relax and open your mind a little bit when you slow down, because you're not worried about getting to the finish line in like 10 seconds. You're thinking about everything that comes along the way and you're appreciating it.
Yeah. This is really good.
Yeah.
This is really good. Sorry, I'm going to stop you because we're at 45 minutes.
Okay.
Should we take a little interpretation stretch break?
If you want to, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a little bit more to go on about this, but
We'll save that because we're going to continue talking about this when we get back. 'Cause I have some thoughts around hurry and slow as well because I've been reading a book about it.
Okay.
So we can talk about that after. But I need to stretch because my back's feeling a little bit.
fair enough.
But guys, we'll be back in like a second for you. But yeah, we're going to take a little intermission. So see you in a bit.
Okay.
All right.
We're back.
We are back. Yes, little intermission. Our video did freeze at the end of the episode just for like a couple, like less than a minute. So do apologize. My phone is actually the camera, so it's like Bluetooth connected to my Mac, which is what we're recording on. So it works. It's actually very, very surprisingly reliable. But there are
It's
moments
cleaner
sometimes.
than our old like video quality.
Yeah, our desktop camera was not good. It's definitely a
Yeah.
better option.
I mean, that's just like any typical webcam. It'll show video, but will it be super clean?
Yeah. No,
Usually it
probably
doesn't
not.
work out.
So yeah, we're using our camera. But if it does freeze up, I will have to get up. I'm checking, making sure that it's not freezing up. But if it does, I might have to get up and make sure. Speaking of camera, okay, it's just too late. All right, that's fine.
Cool. We're up and running. We're good to go.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, talking about the idea of like slowing down
Yeah.
and the idea of hurry. Yeah, it's a tough one. I think we
There is a good chance that I am psychologically rushing myself to, and this is going to sound maybe a bit corny, but there's a good chance that I'm psychologically rushing myself to be just like a better Christian boy. And like in terms of reading the Bible, I have not read an entire book start to finish
right.
out of all the 66 that there is to offer. However, what I am doing is I just said, you know what? I'm just going to start from the very beginning in the Old Testament, Genesis. I'm about halfway through Genesis, and my plan is to read the entire Bible over like the next couple of years. So hopefully in like 2 to 3 years, that job will be done. But
Yeah.
considering how often I read Genesis, it's like sometimes I forget, or sometimes it's just like I can be very forgetful.
Right.
Or there's just something else going on in my life at the time and I don't have the time to read it, but I always try and make time, and I want to make more. I want to read more every day. The problem though, speaking about rushing, I don't want to read the Bible too fast, because I may understand or I may know what happened in like one of the chapters in any of the books. Question is, will I understand the point of the passage? That's when I have to be like, okay, maybe I read 2 chapters a day, but then I analyze the chapters. I talk to you or my parents or anybody, and then I really sort of understand the context, right? Because any historical writing, any amount of historical literature, you can't just read it and then at face value be like, that's exactly the point, unless it's a super easy passage to understand. But if there are words and you're sitting there confused, if you're confused, that means that you got to analyze it better. You need to know the context. You got to understand what's written before and afterwards.
Yeah.
Because like there are passages of the New Testament where people try to apply that to today, and it's like, well, hold on. Paul was talking about that specific topic for the time being. Like it
Right.
was like a
It was
letter
like a
to the
contextual
a letter
was-
to the
yeah.
Romans,
and
like
it was a response to an issue that they were facing at that time.
right, and then we don't
Right.
face it anymore. So, but yeah,
So
yeah. Anyways,
what do you think the Bible like? What do you know? What is the Bible?
the Bible, it is the Word of God.
Okay. What does that mean?
It means, so it's basically the story of God's creation, which is humanity, right? And it's how we were created, what we were created for, and then the story of our rebellion, and then the story of
Because
redemption
you're
and
telling me the
salvation.
story of the Bible. So the way
Sorry?
you're saying the Bible's a story.
Bible is, how do I say this right? Okay, it's not a fictional story.
The
It's not
Bible
just like,
is the
it's not a
God-
fairy tale.
So here's what I think the Bible is.
Okay.
You're good. You're good. It's hard to
No,
figure out. And
I'm
this
trying
is-
to find the right words. Okay,
You want to figure? You can try. Try.
it's historical narrative. But even then, that doesn't get the whole point across.
Some of it is. Some of it is historical narrative. Some of it is narrative. Some of it's historical. Some of it's literature. Some of it's poetic.
It's the story about Christ.
It's the story of Christ, but even more than that, the Bible is God speaking. right? Think about it. The one thing I learned in Bible college, there is no part of the Bible that is, everything that's in the Bible is either from God.
Or inspired by him.
No, just wait, just a second.
Okay.
So, no, sorry, all of it's from God. But everything in the Bible is either directly spoken by God or Jesus, or it's stuff that has been spoken by prophets or disciples. Anything else,
Okay.
or even people who were very connected and
That's a good
close with
point.
prophets. And so because those people, like prophets, for instance, were the closest to God at that point in time, they were hearing his voice very, very clearly, and disciples were literally with Jesus, it's God speaking. And so when we read the Bible, and it's not God necessarily, it wasn't written for us, it was written to us. We read the Bible knowing full well that this is God speaking.
What do you mean it wasn't written for us?
Sorry. It wasn't written to us. Okay, it wasn't written to us specifically, it was written for us.
Okay.
That's what I meant. It's the other way around. And so with that in mind, and I think someone, he said this in the sermon this morning too. Like, if you read your Bible hoping just to like learn what happened historically or to identify a cool narrative, you've got it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you can read the Bible and be like, I'm going to get, like, Jesus is going to speak, like, God is going to speak to me through this today, it changes everything.
Yes, I agree with you there. And if I can just,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
just
yeah,
briefly
interject.
for a second.
Absolutely.
There was another thing the pastor said this morning, and he says, if you read the Bible hoping to learn some moral principles, you can learn that virtually anywhere else. Like you can just you can get advice from your parents on how to live a good moral life. It's like, you can't
It's in
just
society
like,
too.
like, yeah, you will get moral principles out of the Bible. Like Jesus did teach ethical teachings. However, what he also did preach about was the kingdom of heaven. And he told us that he's the only way to get there. So with that in mind, you need to put your faith in him because he will save you and he'll take care of the rest. Obviously, you need to play your part and you need to...
but to, like, yeah, you're right. Like that's broadly, yes, that's what we do and why we do it. But
Yeah.
Bible specifically, it's meant as that, yeah. It's a communication tool. It's used as a way of us hearing from God. And I think and that's why I have such a big problem with 1-year Bible plans. Because I actually think 1-year Bible plans are disrespectful to God.
Why?
Because you're turning the Bible into a quest and a challenge. You're turning it into I need to read this in a year so I can be cool. Instead of reading it and being like, oh, this is going to be an opportunity for God to speak to me. Some people, yes. Some people read it in a year and they are like, yes, I'm going to be spoken to through this. But others, I'm like, you're not enjoying yourself at all. You get up at 5. Like, I know a guy who would get up at 5 a.m. every morning because he had to read like 5 chapters of the Bible every day, plus a psalm. And he got up at 5 a.m. every morning. He never wanted to do it, but he did it because he was like, oh, I got to do this 1-year challenge.
You're right. It can get exhausting because it's a lot of reading.
Too much. And you're not able to actually soak in any of it.
That's a fair point. But I think the Bible in a year plan is designed for people who have already read through it numerous times and are well versed. And what they're trying to do is they just want to speedrun it. Which, yeah, you're right. It turns it into a giant quest. Is it disrespectful, though? Well, if you're already completely well versed in the context of each book,
Okay, but
and all
you're
the
not,
passages,
like, no one's ever going to fully understand the Bible. That's the thing. You take the biggest scholar, the best scholar in the world, and he would probably say,
and he still has questions.
and he would still questions, and he would probably say, yeah, there's parts of the Bible that I don't understand yet, and I'm still reading it. Right?
That's a very compelling argument, Cole. And I think, yeah, that's a very honest argument. But I don't think the intention is
No, I know what you mean.
Like I don't think the
The
intention is
intention's not
to
to
just be
disrespect
like,
it. No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
That might have been a harsh word, but I
no,
think,
no, no, but it's fair because are you completely aware of all the words you're consuming? Like, do you even remember the chapter you read yesterday?
Yeah,
If you're
no,
reading it
literally,
that fast, I can't read the Bible in a year for one of two reasons. Number one, I haven't read the whole Bible at all. So doing it in a year is foolish because I just wouldn't really get anything. But number two, I have an awful attention span.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I personally just need to take my time. I think you and I can both agree on that.
Yeah.
Now, can I call you out for one thing specific? And I don't want you to,
Sure.
I don't want the intention to be like taking it as offense, but you said something yesterday that kind of surprised me a little bit. So I just want to get your
Okay. I'll clarify. Yeah, let's hear.
Okay. I was talking about because like we were reading the Bible. Let me say this again. We were talking about reading the Bible in its entirety, and you made the claim that you don't know if you'll ever actually, or you don't believe you'll read the whole Bible at all,
Okay.
like in your lifetime.
The
So
whole thing, yeah.
yeah, so I just kind of want to hear more about
You want to hear me? Okay.
like the reason behind that.
Damn. That's a good one. So here's why I think I will never read the Bible the whole entirety. I could, you're right about this. I could, if I really, really, really wanted to, I could take a year to read the whole Bible from cover to cover. And I could probably do it. If I really, really tried really hard, I'd really discipline myself to do
You
it.
wouldn't even need to do that. It's more just like, would you read the whole thing across your lifetime?
Well, okay, let me, and
Would you
so,
read
so
every
just, yes, let me,
Sure, yeah, you're good.
and so in that aspect, I don't think I could do that. I could, but I don't think I would because you're not getting anything from a year plan like that, right? We just talked about that.
Mhm.
But I think more specifically, when I say read the Bible, I don't just mean like read it word for word and just like whatever. I mean like fully read it. Like when you read something, you read it to understand. And then you understand as a way of consuming content, right?
Okay.
So when you're reading a book, you read it, you understand it, and then you kind of process it and you do something with it. Bible is meant to be read, it's meant to be understood, and then it's meant to be lived out, right? That's kind of the idea of behind the Bible. And so I think I have limitations as a person, as a human. I'm made in the image of God. We talked about this earlier. Made in the image of God, made like him. I have qualities that are similar to him, but I have limitations, right? I don't think that I can, like I'm not the one who moves mountains. I'm not the one who brings kids to the drop-in. I'm not the one who even will be able to put the stones in place to help me provide prospects for people overseas. I have limitations.
Mm-hmm.
So with those limitations and with the Bible and with reading that, I am limited in terms of knowledge, in terms of wisdom, in terms of understanding. I can't read Revelation and fully read it to understand. I can't read some of the books in Numbers. I can't read some books in like the Old Testament, like Numbers and Leviticus, to fully understand it. I can try, I can read it, right? Literally read it. But I don't like I think
You can't read the whole thing and get
I guess
everything.
read isn't the right word. It's more I'm never going to be able to fully understand the Bible.
Okay.
And to me that means that I have never actually fully read the Bible because you know what I mean? Because when you read a book, you read it from cover to cover, and you, for the most part, by the end of the book, you probably hopefully understand the book. And if you don't, you read it again.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm asking this question because there's a chance that I may have taken your words a little too literally.
No,
yesterday.
that's fair.
Because
that's fair.
Because when you said, "Oh, I'm not going to read the whole Bible in my lifetime," what I interpreted as was you were just going to read certain books or certain passages and leave the rest untouched. I was like, why would you intentionally?
And exactly,
do that?
no, I would, and exactly, and like, as the Spirit leads me, I will be able to read, like, I'll be able to read different books in the Bible. But I think, like, I'm sure there's going to be there might be some books that I never actually read. Like, what if Jesus shows up tomorrow?
Yeah, but that's one in however
That's
many
true.
chance.
No, well,
and but there is a passage that says he'll come like a thief in the night, but that could be tomorrow. That could be in 10,000 years.
crazy. It's
And
a rap song, like A Thief in the Night. Anyways,
yeah,
isn't that literally a rap song?
it is. It's one from like, I don't know, 10
Like,
years ago.
yeah, it's like
something
grade
like
8.
that.
Like when I was into like Gucci Gang and stuff. Anyways,
Okay, so the reason why I brought this question up to you is because it's only fair if I apply it to myself. And this was my intention. I'm going to answer that question myself. So, will I read the whole Bible in my lifetime? And I think the way you answered it was very beautiful. Like you can, your eyes will register every word that's written. And that's my plan. My plan is to have my eyes go over every word.
right.
But after that, I can't just close the book and say, okay, that quest of my life is done. Now I'm going to go, party and do whatever. And like, no, that's not the goal. The goal is for me to read the entire Bible, every word of it, cover to cover. And then my plan after that, actually, my plan during reading the Bible the first time through is to analyze it and ask questions.
Right.
Which is why I'm going to take a very long time to read the whole Bible. I could take 3 to 5 years. I might take 10 years. I could take a very long time, and that's just, a big reason of it is just because like my life might get busy. But the plan is for me to read the whole thing, analyze it, and ask questions the first time through, so that when I come back a second time, it'll make sense when I read it from like.
Well, here's another thing too. You've watched The Office, right?
Not in its entirety, no.
Little Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
No.
Okay, we'll just take a TV show, for instance.
What, anyone that I've seen?
Just, what's a TV? Yeah, like Breaking Bad. Let's say Breaking Bad.
Sure.
Good
Okay.
show. Love it. If you watch Breaking Bad once through, you're intaking information. You're registering what's happening, right? You got the scenes of, you got the fly episode, right? You got the Gus Fring's head being blown off, right? You've got the
Iconic scene,
dude. You've got Hector Salamanca ringing his bell. Now, yeah. Now, such a goated show. I could talk about that show for hours. But my point of this is to say, in a year you might rewatch it.
Sure.
You're gonna rewatch it, and you're gonna realize, one, you've forgotten a lot of things, and two, there's things you missed. That's the Bible.
Exactly. And so to go back on what I was trying to get at earlier is when I go through it a second or third time, there will be things I missed, which means reading through it again,
Yeah.
I'll be more open-minded and I will intake more information. I'll understand more things I didn't do the first time. And what that does is it helps you become more knowledgeable of the Bible, but it helps you become a better critical thinker. And it will help you answer the difficult questions that many other people have. And I want to have that ability. That's not to say I can answer every single question ever, but I want to have the capability to answer the tough questions to the best of my abilities.
Right.
But I can't do that in my current state now because I don't know everything that's written in the
Yeah.
entire book. I need to at least give myself the chance
to give yourself.
to be
Yeah.
well versed in it. And then I can say that, I'm at the top of my game to answer questions. And then if I can't be on that point, I'll just say, you know what, it's up to the Lord. And that's a fair thing to do because you won't know everything anyways.
Yeah, and I think even further than that, like sorry, I'm just gonna adjust my audio a little bit, but there is something to say about as well, like to be a disciple of Jesus. We actually have to not like we shouldn't actually I don't know, and this is you have to there's a balance, right? There's a line. Sometimes this isn't true, but I find I was just reading through John for a bit, and I was very certain I was going to read through John for the rest of the year or like for the rest of the month or whatever, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to continue John. I got up one morning and I was like, and I heard God say, Cole, you should read Job. And it wasn't just like a booming voice. It was just very clearly, I was like, I want to read Job. And I prayed about it. I was like, yeah, I think God is like, yeah, read it. Do it. I want you to read that. And it wasn't a thought. Like, I would never have thought about thinking, like, reading Job. So I very clearly think the Lord has told me to read Job. So for you, I think it's Genesis right now. But I would also encourage you not just to, like, jump to the next book. Like, when you finish Genesis, think about, okay, what book is the Lord inviting me to read? Right? And I think like Gospels are really, really, but sometimes you also need to initiate. Sometimes you just have to, because it's like a discipline, right? When you're working out, you have to you just have to start, right? And and then kind of everything else will kind of happen. Like it kind of sorts itself out along the way as you start to build muscle, you start to kind of go up in weight and things like that. And you also start learning which areas of the body needs to be exercised more.
Yeah.
Right? Things like that. Like there's that, but sometimes you just have to start going and then you kind of figure things out along the way. Sometimes that's the case with the Bible, but I also think like we often, too often, and it's that like we have to take time to partner and to say like, God, like, what do you want? What do you want me to read right now? Like, because he wants to speak to us, right? That's where the mentality changes. It's because sometimes we read the Bible to think I have to do this because we're Christian, but no, we're not Christians. We're followers of Jesus. We're disciples of Jesus. He wants us to follow him, and that doesn't necessarily mean always reading the Bible every morning. It doesn't always necessarily mean praying every morning. It means listening to him and asking him, okay, God, how do you want to speak to me today, and how do I step into that? Like I'm telling you, there's so many things that we've grown up just thinking and we don't think about, and it's like I've started thinking about these things and it's changed my mind. Like it's changed my life. My walk with Jesus has just been, it's transformational. It is.
I agree with basically most of that. The only thing I would add on top of it is it can't always just be, Lord, I'm here to receive and give it to me. You need to you need to make that, like, you need to hold up your end of the deal, which is, okay, sometimes I don't feel like praying. Sometimes I don't feel like reading the Bible. I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
Because it's what I should do.
It's what I should do. And it's
so
what
there's because that's the whole point of the relationship.
So he invites and then we have to accept.
Yes. But then we also need to, like, it's a relationship, so we both need to work together.
Mm-hmm.
So he, I guess like the Lord gives you the strength that you're looking for, and then he gives you the gift.
Here's a crazy question.
And then you need to use it properly.
Yeah.
That's just one analogy out of a million, but.
How do you feel about this?
Uh-oh.
And this is a question that
Should I be worried?
I don't have an answer to this. I'll tell you what I think.
Okay.
It's not like a personal question. It's more of like it is kind of personal, but do you think that we can ask things of God?
Do we think that we can ask things from him?
Or more specifically, do we think we can change God's mind? This is a good one.
Okay, so.
This is going to take us. We're good. We got 20 minutes.
Video's good? Okay.
Video's good, yeah.
So, changing God's mind, I'm just going to say flat out, like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that it can happen.
Doesn't make sense.
Except, this is probably not a good example. No, actually, I'm not even going to say it.
Say it. I want to hear it.
Okay, fine. While I was reading through Genesis, you remember when Abraham is supposed to, like, go sacrifice Isaac or whatever? And then as soon as he's, like, about to use Isaac as, like, a burnt offering,
Boom.
the Lord knows that Abraham is loyal to him.
Yeah.
So he says, okay, stop.
Yeah.
Do not lay a finger on the boy.
Yeah.
Now, the problem I have with that is I'm like, okay, God, what do you mean by now you know? You're all knowing. You should have known before. So I think it's more like maybe he knows, not so much knowledge, but like because he has tested Abraham's loyalty or his faithfulness, now God can use that as proof to say that like he is loyal to him. But I don't think that's a good example of him saying, okay, like I've changed my mind. See what like that's why I wasn't really going to say
Yeah,
it.
no, you're right.
So, okay, but now I'm going to answer your question. Can we change God's mind? No. And the reason I say that is because God not only already knows he not only knows the outcome, he knows the best one. He knows any outcome that could happen. And so to try and change his mind is to try and say, God, you're not wise enough for me to continue my story. Because he already not only knows the best outcome, no, he knows the outcome that's going to happen in your life, but he also knows the best one that could possibly happen.
Okay.
And so he's trying to lead you to that best outcome.
Yes, and you're
now,
right.
Now, are you going to screw that up?
You're right.
Possibly.
You're right about that. You are super right about that. Here's what I think as well. I think I have a mixed answer. I think it's a yes and a no.
Let's hear it.
So, very shortly, actually, in Genesis, you're going to hear a story about Sodom and Gomorrah.
I think I already have.
Okay.
And then
Well,
he destroys the city that
he destroys the city.
Yeah, I've read through it.
But he was supposed to do that destruction a lot sooner than it is recorded. If I'm not mistaken, Abraham pleaded to God and said, God, he said to God, he's like, look,
If there are 50 righteous people.
there's righteous people.
Yes, yes. That's
destroy
a
it.
great passage.
And God was like, okay. And he checked and he said, okay, there's none. And then he's like, okay, what about this? God said again, checked, no. Like, and it kind of happened like 3 times that Abraham was trying to like change his mind. And then Abraham was like, okay, whatever, just do it. And then God's like, okay, destroys Sodom and Gomorrah. So my point of all that to say is, I don't think we can change his mind necessarily. I think there are definitely moments where, and that's the whole relationship thing, where we can be like, and this, I don't think this, like if in the garden, the thing about the garden, right? We think about the garden story. Adam and Eve didn't even talk to God about what they wanted to do. They could have very well said, hey, God, we want this fruit. Like, is there any possible way we can get it? And maybe he would, right? We don't know. He didn't talk to his father. They didn't talk to their father about it at all. And if they had talked to their father, it could have gone a whole different way.
Sorry, I can just imagine like Adam and Eve in the garden, just like let's say like the serpent comes up to them and then like tries to deceive them, and then they're like, Daddy, there's a weird serpent telling us to eat this fruit. Can we do it? Like,
well, exactly though. And like,
imagine if that was in like a kid's Bible or something.
Yeah. But like, I'm just saying though, like how, like the story would have been so different if they did that. Right. And so my hunch here is like, we can do that with God. Is like, if he's telling us to do something, we're like, God, like, okay, look, like I know I'm not going to be able to change you. Like, I know that you have the best way, but is there a different way? Is there a possibility that this could be changed? And there are moments maybe where
Didn't Jesus do something like that too?
The
day before he was crucified?
The day before he was crucified, he started pleading to God. He's like, if there's another way, please, Lord, just please.
Not my will be done, but yours.
But not my will be done, but yours. And there is something about going to God when we want him to change our mind with that trust that, okay, even if he doesn't change his mind or he doesn't guide us in a different way, there might be, like, I still trust that God, this is what God wants me to do. The bad part is when he doesn't change his mind and we're like, okay, well, I don't care. I don't want to follow the way that you want me to follow, so I'm going to go do my own thing. Right? That's where it's dangerous. And we obviously can't expect God to change his mind. Like, we can't just always be like, okay, God, change your mind with everything. But I think there are certain things sometimes where it's like, okay, God, like, this is how I feel about the thing, and like, is there a way we can come to like an agreement, or that, it's a relationship, right? It's in a relationship. And in relationships,
yeah,
even though God is all-knowing, he's all-powerful, he also created us to live on this earth and to be happy. Or not to be happy, but to have life and to be joyful. And I think there is something to say that there is that split balance of I think there is kind of we need to look to God for the next move, but we can also, like, he's created us with godly instincts, and we can trust those sometimes. We have to be very careful. We have to go to God whenever we're thinking about trusting those things, right? But it's a partnership. It's a relationship.
Yeah.
And absolutely, he's more powerful, he's greater, and he deserves all that glory, and we need to make sure we do that. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if you understand like what I'm trying to say.
No, I do. And I actually have
like, it's like, a son and a father, right? It's the same thing. But I don't know what you think.
I have a bit of a hypothetical / dark scenario that could play out. Now, it's not like, violent or anything. It's just, it's more of like a scary hypothetical thought. You ready for this? Okay. When you die.
Damn, okay.
Hear me out.
Don't know if it'll happen to me, but yep.
Well, to be fair, I've never died yet. So clearly, I'm going strong.
Yeah.
Not trying to gloat here, but
going 20 years.
But now let's say you live your life and then you die.
Sure.
You didn't accept Jesus in your heart. So what are you left with? You spent life on earth separate from him. You're given eternity separate from him. What if you're standing in front of him on the day of judgment and you ask him for a second chance? Like, this won't play out because this is what's written. Like,
no, I think it will.
But hear me out. What if you got there on the day of judgment and you didn't accept Jesus, but your heart was on the right track to maybe like try to be a good person, or maybe you were trying to find answers about the world. Maybe you wanted to believe that there was a God, but you weren't fully convinced. You were skeptic. You were an agnostic. Like, what if he just, for real, gave you a second chance at life?
He would.
Sorry?
I think he would. and it actually
Hypothetically, of course,
it
but
does actually say that everyone will have an opportunity to stand before God and say, and have the choice of saying either yes, I believe in you, or no, I don't.
or even that too. What if you stood in front of him and
Everyone,
then like,
but the thing is,
and then he gave you one final
on the
chance.
day of judgment, whenever that looks like, everyone, not, and it doesn't just talk about Christians. It says literally everyone in the world will have that opportunity. So even people who have maybe been questioning their faith and have fallen away
Want to
from
make like a
faith,
last minute decision?
it's yes, but like, and you're like, oh, that's so stupid, that's so cheap, but is it? Jesus died for everyone, and if yesterday and if today someone gives their life to Jesus and Jesus comes back tomorrow, is that still cheap? No, we wouldn't do that. But then if someone has the opportunity to do it when he comes back, it's like, oh, that's cheap. Because Jesus also walked this earth, and people still didn't believe.
People witnessed miracles, and they
so
still said
So
blasphemous.
what's to say that people are not going to do that still when he comes back, right? And so why wouldn't he give that chance to everyone?
Well, it does say every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess Jesus Christ is Lord.
No saying, bro. Like, it's.
However, are people going to do that willingly, or
I don't
are the
think
angels
so.
going to like force them to do it?
No.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, are they going to have a sword to their throat or whatever?
And
Like,
I don't know what that's going to look like. But I just think I just genuinely think. I think that this is what I think that our journey on earth is that we get to live and we get a really cool opportunity to be part of a ministry with God. That's where we're at as humans right now, living right now in this time, as we get the opportunity to be partnered in ministry with Him to bring about and to build the kingdom of heaven, right? But then like it's not just gonna be like okay, so you guys like it kind of looks like this to me. It's like, let's say a man has a bunch of workers, right? A bunch of like workers, and he sends them out to all go gardening.
mhm.
And there's different plots of land this guy owns. He goes send them out to go gardening, and then they all come back, and the owner looks over and he looks at all the different plots of land, and he notices that some of them were done, some of them weren't. Some of them were gardens. Some of them had some leaves. Some of them left behind some, like, they didn't like cut the bushes right. Some of the flowers are left unwatered, like just things like that. But then some plots of land were great. Like, they were flawless. They were mowed, they were raked, they were watered, pruned, whatever. But then what if the owner is like, okay, thank you guys. Thanks, workers. You guys did a great job. You tried your best. Let me do the rest. And then he goes in there and he prunes the rest. He mows the rest. Things like that. That's what I think God is doing. Maybe, just maybe. I this is all like people who are watching, like, we're not experts. This is just stuff that I've learned and that I thought about. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a sec, actually. But I wonder if maybe God is like, yeah, like, you guys have the opportunity to now garden, to evangelize, to make disciples of all nations, and I'm giving you this opportunity because I love you and because it's cool, because you guys get to be part and get to partner with me and get to live and do ministry with me, with Jesus. And then he's gonna come back, and then he's gonna be like, okay, you guys did a great job, and now I'm just gonna like, I'll do some more for you. I'll help you out, right? And he's gonna open that invitation up for other people. Right, it's kind of like that.
Yeah, because like at the same time, just going back earlier to, like, you know, how one of my lifelong missions is to just teach the good news to as many people as I can. Something that I often will neglect, and I have to remind myself this pretty often, it's like, my job is not to save a person. My job is to teach a person about being saved. God will handle the rest.
Boom.
I can plant the seed.
He's gonna
make it grow if they want it to happen, because it's all on you can't force free will. And that's one of the hardest things to accept. It's just like, not everyone will accept it.
Yeah.
And that's such a, like, a fearful, like, it's, sometimes I get a little fearful for other people because they're not going to get to see all of what he has to offer. They're going to reject him, and then they're going to regret that forever. They won't get to see the new heaven and the new earth. They won't get to see his later creations, what's waiting for them. And yeah.
No, I think you're right.
I want to bring up something that we talked about yesterday. The whole idea of proof. Proof is a very, so hold on. The idea behind proof is the inability to say otherwise. It's like you're proving something to be true and there's no other way to explain it. Like it can't be any other way. Like a truth that is objective and you can prove it means that there's like it can't be any other way. And so people that don't believe in God or like Jesus or just any religion at all, they're just like, okay, well, you believe that God is real, prove it to me. And that's one of the hardest things to do because it's like,
well, I can't prove God.
I can't prove God because like, let's say you can't see Jesus in his white robe right up there looking at you. Like you just can't see it happen.
Right.
And even if you could, you would just convince yourself it's a hallucination. So like, I can't really prove to you that God is real, but then I can provide evidence to you, which is like, let's say creation. How did we all get here? Who created the mountains? Who created like the sea, the land, all that sort of stuff? Where does moral virtue come from? Order and design.
Yeah.
The ability for us to still breathe and live every single day.
Yeah.
The planet, right? And so then you can throw the question at them, which is like, okay, so you're asking me to prove God, which I can't do. Prove to me that your friend has a rational mind.
Yeah.
Can't do that either. And then it's also like, prove to me that you won't get in a car accident tomorrow. Prove to me that your plane trip, like, prove to me that, like, when you fly to, I don't know, let's say Mexico tomorrow, that the plane's not going to crash halfway through. Like, you put faith in a lot of things in your day-to-day life.
Prove to me that, like, I don't know.
It's theoretically impossible to prove anything because every single human being, regardless of what it is, we all put faith in something, whether it's God or whether it's society, whether it's material items or whether it's the immaterial.
Yeah, like prove to me that Napoleon from the French Revolution is real.
Right.
Napoleon
Well, I can't do that, but I can provide to you all of the historical writings. I can do the same thing with the Gospels.
Yeah.
So why are you denying that?
Yeah.
It turns out you can't really prove anything.
Mm-hmm.
But people walked with Jesus. People saw him. People heard his, like the Sermon on the Mount, for example.
Yeah, and you know what it really comes down to?
And it was historically documented because that's what they did at the time.
It's that whole idea. The enemy. What does the enemy do?
He confuses you
Confuses people.
and he deceives them.
But what I say earlier, I talked about how the enemy will get us to focus on the past and get us to focus on the future, not what's happening presently.
Yep.
People are so focused on, oh, well, I didn't see him in the past, or I'm definitely not going to see him in the future, so why would I believe?
Yeah, but then they could also just say, okay, so how can I see him right now? How would you answer that? I
would answer by saying you've just, like, how would you, well, first of all, I'd answer it with, how can you see your mom right now? Where's your mom? Is your mom here?
No.
Okay, well, she's not real then. I can't see her right now.
Right. However, in the
I see
future,
what you mean, yeah.
in the future, I could bring you to my house and you would witness my mom in real life.
Yeah.
The thing is,
now, okay, so that's definitely not a good example.
it's a good attempt,
I don't know. I think
I'm just playing
if
fair
I
to
was
both
to say
sides.
to someone, I would probably
You know.
say, look, like you it's not necessarily, I haven't thought about that one. Like, I think my mind is saying it's not always about seeing God.
But about feeling him or experiencing him?
It's not about seeing him. Well, no, you actually see him by reading the Bible. Because that's the only possible way that we can learn more about God. We see him by trying to read the word.
So you hear about him, but you don't see him.
Well, I see him.
Okay, so explain that to someone who is in disbelief towards that.
Well, like, I don't know, like, how do you think the mountains are made?
That's my point. So you're not proving, but you are getting them to think critically about the evidence in front of their eyes. That was the kind of the whole point that I was getting at. And so a big portion of life is to walk through faith. Yeah. A lot of people will say that faith is believing in something because there is a lack of evidence or a lack of proof. I think it's the exact opposite. I think faith is putting your trust in something that has enough evidence to be made credible. Like there's evidence behind it and it's credible. That's why you put your faith in it.
I also think, for me, like the reason why I believe that Jesus is real and that God is real is because I've spent time believing the opposite and everything's gone to crap.
You want to give some examples? Because I could definitely do it
I know
too.
exactly what you're saying, but well, let's just say, and a lot of these things actually, aren't necessarily just like from times where I didn't necessarily give my life to Christ. Like some of these things have happened even just like saying that I'm a follower of Jesus, because you learn. It's a process. It's not like you don't just give your life to Christ once and then everything's okay. Like you have to continually do that.
It's a commitment.
It's a continued surrender, right?
Yeah.
There's actually a lyric in a song that talks about, it's called Dawn to Dusk, and the lyric goes, tomorrow's freedom is today's surrender. This idea that every day that I surrender, I become more free. Isn't that weird? Surrender means to give yourself up and to be like, okay, I'm here. Kind of weird that whenever we surrender ourselves, we all of a sudden become more free. So mixed up. But anyways, that's a totally different topic, but and yeah, just that idea of like when you try and figure things out for yourself, when you try and constantly figure out the next thing to do, when you're trying to figure out when you're trying to figure out a relationship on your own, when you're trying to find a way to escape reality because things are super hard and super difficult, and you turn to like drugs, or you turn to alcohol or partying, or even just friends or relationships or lust,
Scrolling on
pornography,
Instagram.
scrolling, video games, TV, all those things, you don't experience life. You keep wanting more. It's never fulfilling. You almost like, you kind of leave those places feeling more tired, more drained. But then when I found Jesus, it was like, oh, like I can just pray about it. Oh, wow. I feel like I can just sit here with my hands open and just be like, God, like I feel like drop-in is a really big idea. There's a lot of things that have to come into play for this to happen, Lord. Lord, let your will be mine. Let your will, not mine. Lord, make it happen. Here it is. Do with it what you will, as you will, when you will. Care for it with a care that I can never give.
And it's hard for people to surrender themselves to God because they want to be the hero of their own story.
And yes, but like,
and they want to do it all by themselves.
That, but I also think people don't like Jonathan. It's important not to look at people. Yes, we all feel that way. Yes, people are bad. People are wrong. That's really important. But I think we also need to swing. We can't swing too far right that way either. We swing left a little bit. We need to be like, okay, look, there are people as well. Like a lot of people who you're talking about, people who don't want to do things, or don't who can't give up control. There is a deeper meaning behind that. They probably had parents who were in a position of authority, a position of control, who were not fair to them. And so these kids were like, well, I got to be in control of myself, because if I let someone else be in control of me, it's just going to go poorly.
Yep.
They have not been shown another way.
That's so true.
And so, absolutely, yes, we can say that, and you're right. We can say that people don't want to give up control, but we also need to look at the other end of things and say, look, there's a big reason behind it. And in order for us to get people to give up that control, we have to actually approach that issue first. We have to tell them that, yeah, Jesus sees that, and he was there.
But in order to do that, you need to actually get them to share things about their past.
You do,
and sometimes they want to remain silent because it's too traumatizing.
And so then what do you do to do that? Like, we didn't just start sharing our personal lives with us right away. We had to build a friendship. We had to build a relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a full circle. It's crazy.
Yep.
And so in order for us to help people understand and realize, okay, God has a better way of living, we need to help them. We need to get to know them. We need to understand, okay, how are they living? What has been hard for them? What is Jesus actually saying about that? What is the good news here? And then invite them. Be like, hey, look, like, just so you know, Jesus sees this. here's another way. Here's a way of life that won't be draining. That's not going to be constantly kicking you in the butt. It's going to be hard. You're going to fall. You're going to stumble. It's not easy. It's not going to be any easier.
Yeah.
But it's going to be better. You're going to enjoy things more. You're going to be more joyful. You're going to experience, you're going to see things you're going to see everything just better. Right? And yeah, and I can go on for hours about this. Like I'm so passionate about this, but like that's it right there. Like that's evangelism. That's the gospel. That's making disciples of all nations right there. And so I think the original thing was the original question, but I think it was like
Kind of forgot.
but it's good. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like,
But okay, I will say though, like my personal experience of this year, like through my teenage years, a lot of it was just kind of remaining in my own shell, in my own realm, like at home, in my room, or on the computer. At school, I would only stay in a certain friend group. I didn't want a girlfriend. I didn't want to sort of make myself vulnerable in that position. I didn't share my feelings with a lot of people. Didn't ask my parents a lot of questions about Christianity and the Bible. And it got to the point where sometimes I would just feel like going to church, sometimes I feel was useless because I wasn't getting anything out of it. I wasn't really taking it seriously, or I wasn't fully paying attention to the sermon. And because of that, I was like, okay, all I'm doing is disappointing God. He's mad at me. He's ready to strike me down. Better to just run away, admitting that admitting that I don't care, rather than just like building maybe a fake relationship and making other people think that I'm a Christian. But then when I was at that point, ready to run away from Christ and from the faith, the craziest thing happened. I started getting a completely different perspective on the word. I completely got like instead of the common thought that I had was like Jesus was a nice guy that just like told us to do better and then he died for our sins. Instead of thinking that, I got a completely different perspective, which was like, no, like we're all sinners and we deserve his wrath, but Jesus came to prevent that. He gave us a way back home. And I was like, wait, that's the gospel? And then I started to dig deeper into it. And like earlier this year, I was like, okay, you know what? Throughout my teenage years, I went through what I will call an atheistic light Christian phase, which was like, it's like,
so every Christian.
I was raised
kid,
Christian.
Yeah.
I was raised to know the story about Jesus. And no matter what, I said to myself, this has to be true. Otherwise, my whole childhood is a lie.
Right.
You know what happened earlier this year? I put that pride away. I said, maybe Jesus isn't real, but I'm going to go find out for myself. I'm going to figure out once and for all if he's the truth. Like I'm going to just be like, if he's not true and there's nothing credible about him, I can run away and I can have more peace of mind about it. And then the more research I did about atheism and different religions and Christianity, the more even when I was talking about earlier, just order and design and like the morality and all that sort of stuff, all of that points to an intelligent mind greater than us.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is where my faith is going. It's just like, I don't think I can deny God anymore. I can't do it.
It's not possible.
It got to that point where I was like, okay, I'm making myself vulnerable to you. I have surrendered my life to you.
So good.
You know, make me more like your son. And I tell you, Cole, I don't live a perfect Christ-like life every day, but one thing's for sure. He is much more on my mind at this stage of my life than he ever was in the past.
So cool, dude.
And I give all the credit to him.
Well, you also said yes, but yeah.
True, but you know, the Holy Spirit spoke to me in a way that I never thought was possible.
Right.
Like for you, it was like, you know, helping youth. And for other people, it's like maybe they have abusive home lives and then they find peace in Christ and then it's kind of an escape. I don't know. For me, it was just more like, for me, it wasn't like I never really had a problem with God's character. I more just was questioning historical reliability. So I wanted to uncover more about that. And the more I do it, the more it points to Jesus. And even if you want to remove the historical figure of Jesus and just go to God, that entity in and of itself, I don't think it's possible that this whole universe came to be by some random.
There's so yeah.
It can't come by random chance.
And there's so much that we could dive into about that too. But
these will probably be later episode discussions, so stay tuned for that as well.
Yeah, and so we are like kind of wrapping up on time here.
Oh, okay,
It's
yeah.
A little bit past,
No, we're good.
But, yeah, guys, we're feeling pretty good about podcast. We're enjoying it. The setup's getting
better. Quality's getting
crazier.
better.
The mic quality.
I have my own mic.
Yeah. We're still figuring out like fine tuning some of the audio stuff as well, and even the camera setup isn't like it's not insane.
Hold on, I want to see. I feel like you're slightly more in the shot than I am.
Yeah, I had it better earlier, but then I readjusted it earlier and messed it all up. So
that's whatever.
You're supposed to be in more, but.
Well, I'm here. I mean, I feel like it's more important to hear me than to see me. I find.
At this point, it doesn't even really matter.
Like as long as that's crisp. Yeah, I can hear it right through the headphones. So.
Yeah, you probably ear-raped it, but yeah, we hear audio.
Who's screaming?
Rico and Derek are playing Wii Sports, I think. Anyways, so guys, we're looking to really increase the quality of this podcast, and even further than that, we're increasing the topics, just the content. We're looking to really we'll have these kind of like improv, and like we'll have some more fun episodes and things like that. Today was a bit more of like I would say this episode was more serious.
Yeah.
Just a bit, we had a lot of stuff to dive into and just really cool things to talk about.
It was also a getaway weekend.
It was a getaway weekend.
And we wanted to experience with a different setup. I mean, the last episode was outdoors, don't get me wrong, but this is like, we're not in the middle of nowhere. At least we're somewhere where
this is a little bit different.
Like more familiar territory.
Yeah. And we might do more outdoor stuff when it's nice. It's like easy to set up. We have a tripod and stuff now too, so but basically, yeah, we're looking for topics. We have a couple ideas of topics as well that we're probably going to dive into, but the plan is, we want topics. We want to talk about different things and different ideas, and just take time to take a couple weeks to just study, to really do some research on these things, and then come back and like share our thoughts and discuss with one another.
Hopefully as well, like we're trying to get scheduling more consistent as
well.
That's one of our goals
we're pretty
the
on
future of
track
the
with
podcast.
that right now. Like this episode will probably be out pretty quickly after the recording, so but in terms of episodes and things like that, we're hoping to pump out a lot more. And I feel like there was another thing, but that's probably it. Yeah.
This was good.
If you listened and you watched the whole way through, thank you for listening. We hope that you've enjoyed your time at Munch Chatter. We look forward to doing more, and yeah.
I don't know. I don't really have much to say other than just like I'm glad we got to come out to see Derek again. Also cool that he was in the episode for a few minutes. Shout out to him for letting us be here and for also kind of setting up the intro as well. That was fun.
He helped us out a lot with this. So.
Yeah, no, I'm genuinely looking forward to the future of the podcast.
Yeah, me too.
I also I guess my biggest hope is just for just a much bigger expansion of topics. And
we hope that this can be encouraging for you guys too, like believer, non-believer, follower of Jesus or not. We hope this is encouraging. And we hope that these is like that faith is open to you. Even if you have done stupid things, you've fallen away. Me and Jonathan have done some stupid things. Trust me.
Stupid yet funny.
Some of them were not that funny.
That's that's fair.
I'm thinking back to like grade 6, 7, but we've done some bad things. But we're here, and we're talking about Jesus, and He offers that to everyone. So,
and God can use the I don't want to say the weirdest bunch, but He can He can use people you would expect the least for incredible things. I mean, we look at the disciples. I don't know if you mentioned this earlier, but
the lowliest of low, He called the lowliest of low.
Yeah. And He was like, you're my bunch. They didn't go to school. They weren't super educated. He was just you. And they're like, really? Follow me.
And they're like, okay, bet.
And then they made history. Quite literally.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, whatever, man. Let's do it. But yeah. like we said, thanks for watching.
Mhm.
We're gonna let you guys go now. So yeah, thank you, and we will see you guys in episode 7.
Jesus loves you. See you next time.
Sweet.
Here they go with this metronome, man. Oh my god. Yabbity boobity babba doo boop. Boop boop. A shooby dabba doo boop. Doo boop. A yabba dabba doo boop. Dooba doo boop. Babba doo boop. Doo boop. Yeah.